The Do This podcast is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network. In this episode, Chad Hayms, Bob Stewart, and Kristen Meyer explore building a relationship-based real estate business. Kristen is the team leader of Sweet Living, a real estate team based in Seattle, Washington, with 21 years in the real estate industry. Kristen shares insights on utilizing technology, such as tags, tasks, and tools like Brivity Go and Kwikly. Discover effective strategies for managing client relationships, the crucial role of follow-ups, and the art of asking for referrals. We hope you enjoy this episode of the Do This podcast presented by Brivity.
Hey, welcome, Chad Hayms,
Bob Stewart,
Kristen Meyer.
What's up?
Hey, this is like a special week for me. I got to talk to you on the phone yesterday, and now I get to see you in person as you join us for Do This. Thanks for taking the time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is one of my favorite topics.
All right,
and I really enjoyed our conversation because I like relationships.
There you go. Hey, look at you, Chad. She's doing your role. She's like threading everything together.
Yep.
She's segueing. So, Kristen, do me a favor before we jump in here and kind of take off and talk about some of the things you guys have been doing in the last year to improve your business. Introduce yourself so that Dean and Irene and Jen, who are joining us, who may not know, give us a little bit of who's Kristen.
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Kristen Meyer, and I live in Seattle, Washington. And I am the team leader of Sweet Living, which is a team I've been in the business for 21 years. The team has been a team for about 11 or 12 years. We're pretty small and mighty. We have 5 agents, and we focus in the Seattle metropolitan area for our business. What else do you want to know? Oh, I'm from New Jersey originally, so sometimes the Jersey comes out, so I apologize to anyone
Tell the important
who
thing.
might be offended.
What's the important?
Tell the important thing. Her birthday's the same as mine, Bob Stewart. That's what's really important here.
Wait, did you bring
Me
a guest?
and Chad are born. So my director of operations, Claire, loves to hop in as me on Zoom. Hi, Claire. She's my imposter. She's the one that makes it all happen. She just
I'm here.
She logged in on my Zoom.
I know. I accidentally logged in on her Zoom. Look at me again. Hi.
How do I? I'm gonna pop her out of here.
Hopefully without offending her.
Okay,
I'll leave.
Claire.
While you're doing that,
I think
Bob,
I put her in the waiting room. I'm not sure.
We'll figure it out.
That's Claire.
I was just going to say 2 things we know about Kristen is 1, she's a Sagittarius, so watch out what you ask today on the call because we share the same birthday, so that's why she's also a master of the segue. It's just something that happens.
Okay.
And 2, she's a dog mom, right? Because we saw behind you.
Dog butt walk by.
Yeah, we saw a puppy go by. So you mean don't miss the important things in life, Kristen.
All right. Okay, Kristen. Let's just start here then. Tell me something you're doing that you guys do in your business that you think the people listening today could benefit from if they started doing it in theirs.
Sure. So it's a challenge to run what I call a relational business, a sphere-based business, and scale it. So most of us who are relational by nature, I think we're really good at real estate, and a lot of people get into real estate because they like working with people and they are naturally networky. And we know that building relationships with other human beings is kind of how you get clients and how your client base will grow. And I think conversely, most people that are like that are very into authentic relationships. We want our clients to have an authentic experience with us. We don't want to be like pushy salespeople.
So more of the nurturer versus like the hunter mindset where you're just out trying to knock that next deal down and on to the next, right?
Yeah, I think we tend to be more, we want results, but also what that client thinks of us and the relationship and how we feel working with them and how they feel working with us is important. So one thing I think that I've learned over years of doing this is that a relational business has a cap on it. So you can't really scale beyond the amount of human relationships you're capable of having. And human relationships take time, right? We talk so much about making phone calls. There's a reason why we want to make phone calls is because there's something that happens when two people are talking to each other that transcends anything that could ever happen on a text or an email. So how do you scale that when there's only so many hours in the day? And also we're out doing sewer inspections and taking our buyers on tours and going on listing appointments. So one of the things I think that it's a constant work in progress, but I know from building a business that is, we're on track to do 100 transactions this year with basically 4 practicing agents in a market where it's crazy. I mean, it's pretty crazy here in Seattle.
Hard market, right?
Yeah, very, very competitive for buyers. So our buyers agents are out there writing 4, 5, 7 offers and competing.
Kristen, can I ask a question? You just gave a number, and my brain immediately hears we're on our pace for 100 with 4 active agents. So my brain immediately does the math and says that's 25 each. Because you're in a relational, I just want to ask, I wouldn't probably have asked otherwise. Is that pretty even that they're all bringing approximately 25 families help to the table because we do have a limit of relationships as you talked about? Or is it, one's doing 40, one's doing 12 because they're newer and they're still building it up? How does that break down on the team?
So that breaks down with not everyone's doing the same thing. Not everyone has the same goals. Not everyone has the same experience. So we have agents that are in that sort of growing a new business phase. And then we have agents that are in that like sort of developing past their foundational years phase. And then Jacqueline Phillips and myself, we've been working together as Sweet Living since for 11 or 12 years. I think it's 12 years. She likes to correct me on that. Time is a construct. So we do. Jacqueline's our highest producer. She sort of fluctuates between 25 and 40 transactions a year. These are high price point, high touch transactions.
Yet they're
and then our developing agents are, they're all relational.
All the agents on your team, they're all relational. You don't have someone who's an open house master or someone who's a dialer like crazy. Your team is built on relation?
Well, no. So we're all relational in how we function with our clients and what's important to us and kind of what we bring to the table. That's important to me in order to deliver what Sweet Living says it's going to do for our clients. I don't hire agents that are not going to be to some degree relational. But we have agents that are naturally great and enjoy doing open houses. Some people don't. Some agents are more comfortable on the phone than others. So I think that's kind of why our systems are so important to be like sort of they're set up for the team to be successful and to manage our database, but also they're customizable in a way that each agent can track and do their thing.
So they're relational in their people skills, which, folks, if you're not relational in the real estate industry, get out, right? If you're transactional, it becomes very clear. But they're relational in the way they deal with their clients, yet they're not necessarily all just sphere-based referral-built business like you were talking about at the beginning. Some of them are doing it different forms of lead generation.
Correct.
Okay. And they have to, right? Because, look,
they have to.
We have this whole, I say we because you're a partner at Place and I know the models and systems that you guys are running, and we come in and they have 200 people in their sphere, and Jacqueline's got a lot more than that in her sphere over 12 years later, right? But like in the beginning, that 200 sphere business, we think there's like a deal a month in there if they're just working their sphere. They got to go add and expand those relationships to include more people they don't know. And that's kind of over the process of your career. Those hunter types maybe do that a little faster because they're just out hunting and finding as many people to add in. Maybe the relationships don't get as deep and they don't, get all the business that's in there. What do you guys do then to get the business that lives in your sphere? Like, what do you just call them? Is it that simple? I just once a quarter I call them? Is it I have client parties and I wow them with how, like, what are you guys doing to work those relationships?
So at a base level, everyone that we're in relationship with is on listing alerts or market reports, like as a functional baseline, right?
They're getting something from us. Real estate
that's
related.
Like oxygen. Like if you don't, that's just a no-brainer. That's how that's the oxygen part. And then we do quarterly and sometimes more frequently, sometimes less, client events. And we have a pretty cool group of clients. Like when I started the business, I came into this from the music industry prior. So worked with a lot of artists and interesting kind of characters that evolved into working with design related people and continuing with working with musicians and also architects and a lot of people that are in that space. And so many like makers and like business entrepreneurs, people that started their own business. So our tribe is interesting and they like to meet each other. So we facilitate those relationships often. So it's kind of fun to have an event and have our clients meet each other and they're like, wow, that was cool. Like they want to be part of that tribe that we've created.
And that builds on itself too, I would imagine, right? If you're consistent in doing that and they came to your last event and they're like, oh my God, I met two amazing people and I'm friends with them now. Like it makes them want to come to the next one and make more connections, right? And that's really cool. What do you do for your events? Do you just rent out a whole space and ask one of them who's a musician to play guitar or something? Like, what are you doing?
That's something that we keep talking about wanting to do, is do a show. We've done roller skating parties where we rented out a roller rink. We have done picnics at Lincoln Park, which is the beach near us. We've done, we did a series of like pub crawls for a while, but then we kind of, we're not supposed to be buying beer for people. And a lot of those things were supporting people's businesses that were clients. Like one of the breweries that we first started having those events at was a buyer client that worked with us. So we've also we just did our first like VIP.
I think David Wiggs is saying he'll play the drums at your real estate jam. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my gosh, yes. So David Wiggs and then Dave Weldon can play guitar.
There you go.
Yeah.
They might start charging you. They already have a band though, so that might be a cover fee to have them show up.
They'll play for free because they said this.
There you go. Okay. Let me ask you this. You mentioned it earlier, how technology helped. How are you using technology to keep the relationships moving forward, keep the lead generators of your group moving forward? How are you using tech to make it happen?
I mean, we try our best to run the 10 daily steps. We have a big database, segmenting your database and tagging people for the things, the future actions that you want to be able to query that database to pull those people up. Is important. So we use Brivity tags and we use Jacqueline loves like being on the app at an open house and seeing because we both have a massive amount of past clients. So she'll be at an open house and pick up the app.
You say Seattle, but you guys kind of focus in West Seattle, right? Like a lot of your business out there in West Seattle. So it's not uncommon that when she has a listing, she opens that app and there's 15 past clients that live within a mile of where she's at, right?
We do a lot in West Seattle, but we also kind of cover all of the core interior neighborhoods of Seattle. So, she could be in, and she's actually done a bunch. She had a seed listing in Kenmore that started to just like ended up being 5 or 6 listings for her. So she could be there. It actually is really more effective when you're in an area where you don't know that people are right around you, because you just go. And so at downtime, an hour at an open house, all of those people, they get a phone call or a text.
I love that. If you guys don't know what she's talking about, by the way, there's guaranteed somebody on this call that's like, what? You go into Brivity Go and there's a map in there and you just pull that map up and based on where you're sitting right there, which is Jacqueline at her open house in Kenmore, she can see on that map anybody in that database, like where they live on the map in relation to where she's currently standing. So and then she can easily make the calls to those people, which is what she does. She just sits there on her app when there's nobody at her open house and she's out building on those relationships with those clients.
She could do a pop by because she would realize there's somebody 2 streets over from where I am. Why don't I just stop, knock, whatever. How else are you using the tech other than that awesome tool? You said, I mean, and I'll go back to many of these other calls, right, Bob? They've been telling us a lot of it's back to the basics. It's doing the Brivity, the day, right? Kristen here is saying, no, we're a little more free spirited. We attempt to do the day, yet we don't always kind of get up. What are you doing and how are you using it to remind you to do follow-up, to just automatically send follow-up to those people to stay relational with?
Follow-up is the devil is in the follow-up, right? Like, so follow-up is the hardest thing to continue to execute without technological help. You will, if you grow your business the way you probably want to grow your business, you're going to get to a point where you can't remember it all. And I think that's the challenge, is that we think we're going to remember and then we don't. So keeping like copious notes of your conversations in Brivity is so important. And like when you're having a conversation, I remember that your birthday is November 29th and that's mine. So we have that in common. I remember that. But I would write that in your note and say, Chad's birthday is the same as yours, you know, like, and then I'd make myself a follow-up task that says, next year on November 28th, send Chad a snarky text about him and me and Howie Mandel all sharing the same birthday. You know, like, you're not going to remember. So your Brivity is your future self, and you should design it for the business that your future self wants to have and the conversations that your future self wants to have.
I love that.
Yeah, Bob, doesn't that go with last week's call? And folks, if you haven't watched the recordings, go back, where he was just saying, what was it? 90% of the people in his Brivity have a task assigned to them. That way he knows they're using the tool correctly. Just like Chris, you don't have to remember what's coming. You just have to put a task on everybody that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
Unicorn behavior, by the way, like everybody that we have, like anybody goes, yeah, that's how I should use my database. No, very few people do it that way, like almost nobody. But the couple examples we have in our world of people that actually do it that way, they have massive businesses. They have to do it that way to remember all the things that are going on, to Kristen's point earlier. Kristen, I want to change pace for just a second, because you guys are a relationship business and you talked about how those are hard to scale because finding new relationships takes time, right? And building those relationships takes time. I want to ask you about what I think is probably the easiest, fastest way to scale. When I say it, everybody goes, oh, yeah, I want that. But I don't know that practically it's that easy to do. And it's this. How do you ask your sphere and past clients for access to their relationships? How do you ask for referrals essentially from those people? What does that look like in your guys' world? Are you religious about it? Is it something that you just let happen naturally? Because I feel like the more systematic people become in their ask, the bigger and faster they can scale. But that's such a weird thing, right? It's not, you just go around, hey, so you got another client for me? Hey, like, what do you guys do there to ask for business from people that you have a relationship with? Other people's business, not
there is a definite, that's the golden question, right? So, and I would say that we work on it and we could definitely improve in that. What I realized being a team leader years ago was that I had scripts around it and I had things that I just did naturally. And when you're working as a team and you're growing, like, teaching the team members how to do it in a way that they're comfortable with, you're not going to do something that
doesn't feel authentic,
makes you feel totally crappy.
Yeah.
So my strategy has always been to just kind of make it funny. So, and that works for me because I love humor. I like to laugh with people. Like, it's not weird to come from me if I like give somebody some snarky thing, like, hey, I know you like, I showed you 4 houses and you decided not to buy one. It's cool. You owe me 3 referrals. Ha ha ha. You know, like, and like people will do it because they want to support your business. And so many times we do things for people without getting compensated. We do this all day long. Like, hey, I'm going to help somebody with a valuation for their property for their uncle's, day of death or something weird. The things that we do as favors. Hey, they're so grateful. Thank you so much. No worries. Just next time you hear somebody that needs a really stellar real estate agent, connect us. Where I think we could do better at this is systematizing the ask, which also is a hard thing to put together with a relational business. Like, that seems a little snarky, like cheesy and like inauthentic to like send some blast out to a bunch of people. But we have experimented with things in the past, putting it around our like our events, asking people for referrals. The VIP dinner that we did was strategically about thanking the people that give us continuous referrals and then encouraging them to give us more.
I think that's so important. There's people in our world that did something nice for us that expected a certain response. And maybe we were like, hey, thanks a lot. But that wasn't the level of response they expected for the thing they did for us, right? So that idea of like doing a dinner once a year or whatever for anybody that's referred business to us that year, I think that's really, really smart because even if you thank them, it might not have been the response that they wanted, you know?
Yeah,
Bob,
we can always do more.
Yeah.
Bob, do you have a go-to while we're on the topic? I mean, everybody who's been in the business long enough should have the go-to. Kristen goes with the little snarky, right? Don't forget, you owe me 3, ha ha. Someone looking for a stellar agent, ha ha. I have my set. Do you have a standard?
Mine would, I think I come out of the Ben Kinney kind of school, right? So mine is, could I ask you a favor? I will do that often. I'll say, hey, do me a favor. We just spent 30 minutes. Do me a favor. I'm looking for, and I will tell like something it's a specific ask, Chad. Do me a favor this week. It would be amazing. And again, I'm not buying and selling real estate anymore, right? So in my world, what we're looking for is more place partners. And so I will say to people, hey, listen, thank you so much for giving me the time. It was an honor to spend this time with your team. Do me a favor. In the next week, if you guys come across a real estate business that is struggling a little bit right now, but they've had a really awesome business in the past and they're just trying to find their feet to get back to that because times are hard, let me know who they are. Don't tell them about place. Tell me about them. Like I try to guide them on how I want that referral given to me, but it's always a favor. Do me a favor. Here's what I'm looking for very specifically. Okay. Chad, that came, by the way, that's the Ben thing. We've talked with people before that have talked about that very narrow ask. It's not, Kristen, do you know about somebody that's thinking about buying or something, right? It's like, hey, if you guys have any buyer friends that are trying to get into their first house, right? Like you're kind of guiding it towards that person you're talking to. But I don't know, that would be mine. Wait, what's yours?
I blame somebody else. It's usually on the way out of a call, right? I'm like, my coach would kill me if I let you off the call and didn't just ask, Who do you know that's been talking about buying, selling, investing in real estate? That way it's completely off me. I have to ask. They feel, right, yeah, ha, we get it. You got to ask to do it. And it's always the by the way line of the conversation. I save it, right? Because we're talking, in Kristen's case, we're talking about our sphere. We're talking about those relationships we already have. In theory, they should already be thinking about us for real estate. We shouldn't have to be doing the, hi, who do you know that's looking to buy call? That's not the call we're making. We're just in a situation with them. Okay, so Kristen, you brought up the map, right? But you brought it up and Bob went into it. And I think that was a huge, people don't know about that map tool in Brivity to be able to see who's around. You brought up putting tasks down for people so that you realize I'm never going to remember all the things I think I'm going to remember. Okay. What else is there? What's that little tasks everybody should know, right? If you're using any CRM, you should know tasks. You mentioned earlier tags. You tag them in Brivity. Do you go crazy? Like, hey, these people are, dog people. So I remember that these people, or is it just, hey, we've helped them in the past or,
we have some core tags that we use just to we have our Seattle invites list. That means that if we're having an event, we're going to invite them to something. We have a newsletter recipient list. We have, I have one that these are our team ones, Christmas, a holiday card list. We have 7,000, you can make a tag for anything else that you want. So, I have my street team tag that I put in there. I have a listing prospect tag there are a million ways to look at your Brivity and know who's a potential seller. But anytime that I have a conversation with somebody and they say, hey, I think I'm going to be selling something in tomorrow or in the next 10 years, I put a listing prospect tag that I made that's just big capital letters that says listing prospect. And when at least once a month, I'll go pull up that list and I'll say, have I neglected anyone that has a listing prospect tag? And then when I forget to do that, I'll have a moment where I'm like, God, I'll remember that thing that wakes us up in the middle of the night. I forgot to call that person. They asked me about this thing, and then you feel terrible, like you're not delivering the promise that you said you were going to do. I'll go through and use those tags to direct my behavior. Those tags to me are, how do you define your database? How do you segment it? The tags are a gift to get you straight to a certain group of people, so you can make those tags whatever you want them to be.
Yeah. So if you had a listing in Seward Park, you're probably going to pull up your Seward Park. I see Seward Park in here. I'm like looking through your tags, by the way.
Yeah, we've got a few.
Pull up your
they're a mess.
Seward Park
Will you please
farm.
clean them up?
But you'll pull up your Stewart Park farm, and those are the people that are going to call and let them know you got a listing this weekend, right? And you're going to have an open house, and they can be the one to pick their neighbor if they know somebody that would love to live in Stewart Park, because it's not easy to find a good house in there. I think tags are one of the, in a similar way to tasks, Chad, where you're like, man, everybody should be using tasks in their database. Everybody should be using tags too.
Yes, 100%. And Bob, people should get more specific in their tags, in my opinion, right? So I know a lot of people that are from Toronto, having lived there for many years of my life. I have people in my system that are tagged, and when the Leafs lost the playoffs yet again, it was easy to grab all my Leafs fans and say, well, next year we believe, right? And send off that message just to reach out to all of those people. When I lived in the Atlanta area, there was the Bulldogs, right? The Georgia University, and then there was Georgia Tech, and there was the in-state rival. So it was easy to pull up the groups of people who were Bulldog fans or Yellow Jacket fans or Alabama fans when those games happened. Folks, think about the tags outside of just the basic real estate tags, because Kristen it's a great way to be able to pull up that specific list so you can reach out to those people because you have a customized message.
One of my favorite tools in Brivity is Kwikly. So we use Kwikly a lot, and we get a lot of like random people just like in our database from that. And I think we have a lot of room for improvement for follow up on that. But they come in
have a ton
with
of Kwikly leads. Holy cow!
I know.
So many.
But they come in with a tag, and then so if we have now we launched a condo on Capitol Hill, and we had a bunch of inquiries on a similar condo even 3 years ago. Like that's a great way to reach out to people and just be like, hey, we met years ago, but I was thinking about you.
For people out there who don't know, Kwikly, spelled Kwkly, right, is a text capture system, right? You can text right now. You could text, we could come up with a bunch of them that Kristen has, that I have, that Bob has. You can text any keyword to 59559, which spells out Kwikly, and you can set up an auto response message. So Kristen, you use it when they're driving by and they see the signs. They could text to get information about a property. I use it for people who want to get on my calendar, or people who want to link directly to my podcast. And it's easier than saying, here's the whole long link, right? Just text this, I'll send it right to you. You can use Kwikly for so many different things, folks. Kwkly is how Kwikly is spelled. It is a power tool that I think too many people miss out.
If you're a Brivity platform user, by the way, you have Kwikly as a part of your Brivity platform. I'm trying to get into your account. What's Mayfair? I see people in here texting Mayfair to you guys. Is that something you're marketing?
That's a good question. That's another thing that came up in my midnight things I was thinking about last night. It's a condo unit that we had at the Mayfair building. We've had multiple listings there. So we had the keyword text Mayfair to 59559. And I don't know why, and we don't have anything there right now, but
people are still texting it. Like somebody texted that keyword on the 11th of May.
It happens to me. I get texts all the time through Kwikly, and I'm like, where did they even get that keyword message? Where is it still out there that they're finding it?
I mean, you had somebody text on the 19th. 3 days ago, somebody texted Mayfair. They just picked up an old piece of marketing that something. That's
I have
crazy.
no idea.
But you now have a cell phone number for a guy named Chad Taylor, who we know is interested in some way about maybe something happening in the Mayfair building. I don't know.
Awesome.
Kwikly, hey, oh man, I wasn't expecting to knock off 5 or 6 Brivity. So we talked tasks, we talked tags. You talked about market reports and listing alerts being on like most of your contacts, and all your past clients with Sphere having one of those 2 things.
Map.
the map inside of Brivity Go, and we wrapped up with Kwikly. Holy smokes, Kristen.
Everyone, please witness that Bob just went through all the things that we were doing right in Brivity, so that when he tells us where we have room for improvement, that we all remember this moment.
David, she wants a recording of this to save in their file for the next time I get a chance to talk with Kristen and her team.
Bob,
David
send
says
me a referral and we'll call it even.
Okay, that is fair. All right, Kristen, thank you so much. You guys have an awesome business. I get a chance sometimes to come out there and visit you guys in West Seattle and have lunch at a Thai food place nearby. So I hope I get a chance to do that again this summer at some point. You're awesome, and I just appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, birthday
Dad,
twin.
I'll see you next week. You guys have a great rest of your week here. Awesome weekend in real estate.
Happy holiday weekend, Bob.
Bob Powell, go sell a $1 million house. Actually, Bob Powell needs to sell his market's $5 million house. Go sell a $5 million house. Bob Powell, Chad. I'll see you later. Kristen, have a great weekend. Bye, guys.
You too. Thank you.